ESPN News, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is being presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. Plus, the NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tonight as Durant and the Golden State Warriors host the Los Angeles Clippers. Presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. Excuse me. As an aside, before I get into any NBA action, let me tell you that today is the deadline for the Seattle Seahawks to reach an agreement with Russell Wilson, their star quarterback, Super Bowl champion, took them to two back-to-back appearances in the Super Bowl, beat Denver and Peyton Manning, lost to Tom Brady and New England Patriots in a game they should not have lost. If they had just elected to give the ball to beast mode, Marshawn Lynch at the half-yard line, they'd have back-to-back Super Bowls. Russell Wilson would be a two-time Super Bowl champion, but that's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, Russell Wilson wants to be handsomely paid, by the way. If you listen to some of the reports, you know, when the cap increases, he wants to be increased according with the cap. So it's not just about the dollars, but if the cap elevates by 15%, you know, he might want a 15% raise if the stories that I'm reading are correct. Nevertheless, it seems to be a bit unreasonable. If it indeed is unreasonable, I think it is that way on purpose because Russell Wilson essentially wants out. Why would you give the Seahawks a deadline to reach the deal today? Why would that be of such concern? Why would that deadline that was first reported by the Seattle Times, by the way, and confirmed by ESPN, why would that be invoked by Russell Wilson? Why are you trying to make things difficult for a place that you want to stay at? Doesn't seem plausible in my mind. It seems like he wants to leave. I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to have to entertain moving him out of there, even though I don't think it's something that, you know, listen, if a person of this caliber wants out, one would surmise you got to get rid of him. In the same breath, Russell Wilson has epitomized professionalism and team throughout his career. So with him still under contract, what you going to do? Turn around and sabotage the season? I don't see Russell Wilson being that kind of guy. Nevertheless, I think it's a situation where if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you can get an awful lot for Russell Wilson. And if you can get an awful lot for Russell Wilson, it might be something you want to entertain if he does not want to be there. I would love the New York Giants to get Russell Wilson. Absolutely, positively love it. I'd be so ecstatic for the Giants to get their hands on a guy like Russell Wilson. A guy that could extend plays, buy himself time. Now, first of all, he can throw the football standing in the pocket. But secondly, he can extend plays with his running ability. And have Saquon Barkley out there with him, with the ability to extend plays, they could do some things. I think that's something that we'd have to look at, something that we'd have to consider. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Let me get to another story. And that is involving these NBA playoffs. A lot of you looked at the Denver Nuggets losing to the San Antonio Spurs. Ladies and gentlemen, I got news for you. There ain't no damn upset. I don't care that the San Antonio Spurs are a 7th seed. Let me tell you something right now. San Antonio Spurs should beat the Denver Nuggets. San Antonio Spurs are in their 22nd consecutive postseason, all led by Greg Popovich. The experience that he has with the experience that DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge and the guys like Patty Mills bring to the table. I'm sorry, the Denver Nuggets are incredibly talented, but they're young puppies. They're puppies. This is their first time in the playoffs in a while. I love their squad. I really, really do. I'm a Jamal Murray fan. Didn't have that great of a game. Only shot 8 of 24. All right? Gary Harris can ball. Jokic, I don't know how he is as good as he is. Can't get off the floor to save his life. Can play, though. But don't give me athleticism with him. I don't understand it. But if you got Barton and an experienced veteran like Millsap with young lions like Harris and Murray, I did expect more from the Denver Nuggets. I still expect more, but I got news for you. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they lost to San Antonio because Popovich knows how to coach. And he knows how to make them do things they don't want to do. And when you're inexperienced and it's postseason time, that usually counts against you. So that's not a surprise to me. Orlando beating Toronto, well, when you consider the fact that Toronto notoriously struggles in game one of the playoffs or the opening round of the playoffs, Like their record was like 1-10 coming into Saturday or something like that. I mean, what do you expect? Even with Kawhi Leonard. But I expect them to be all right, even though I will tell you this. Orlando's youth, length, and athleticism was a surprise to me to have that kind of effect on Toronto. And DJ Augustine, the most miniature dude on the floor, balled out. This is a guy that religiously ends up on one team after another, and somehow he finds a way to produce. Kyle Lowry. I love you, little bro. I really do. Kyle Lowry and I go back to my days of covering him as a high school player in Philadelphia before he went to Villanova. Love Kyle Lowry. Pit bull, not scared of anything. He's really improved his game. Has had a really nice NBA career. Is in the midst of a 3-year, $100 million contract. All of these things. Obviously didn't like what Masai Ujiri did in trading away DeMar DeRozan. And their relationship hasn't been perceived as the best. Kyle Lowry, you cannot go scoreless in a playoff game. You just can't. You can't be so thoroughly outplayed by DJ Augustine like you are. That just can't happen. You're too good for that. Now, I understand DJ getting 25 points. He can shoot, and he can play, and you're on a good team. They said picks and traps for you. I mean, that's good. Kyle Lowry, first of all, why are you attempting just 7 shots in 33 minutes? Secondly, you can't hit a damn shot over 6 or 3-point range? You only attempted 1 2-point shot? You had more turnovers than points. You had more steals than points. You had more personal fouls than points. Come on, Kyle. Come on now. You can do better than that. But let me say this. The biggest surprise to me, thus far, you can use Orlando as that if you want to. To me, it's Brooklyn beating Philadelphia. Joel Embiid is not healthy. He only played 24 minutes. We get that. Tobias Harris, come on, bro. 2 for 7. You better than that. Handle your business. It's just one game. I ain't tripping, but you better than that. JJ Redick, not worried about him at all. Shooters have bad games sometimes. 2 for 7 for the field. JJ Redick, that happens. Ben Simmons, my God, please, in the offseason. Ben Simmons, oh my Lord. Ben Simmons, if you're somewhere listening to me, do you have any idea how good you are? Do you have any idea the greatness that lies inside of you? Will somebody please continue to remind Ben Simmons that if you get a jump shot, you'll be LeBron part 2, except with a better handle. And damn near just as good passing ability. Ben Simmons, is one thing to not be able to make shots. It's another thing to not take them. Somebody, please convince this man to get a jump shot. Ben Simmons is a jump shot away from being LeBron part 2. The 76ers are a Ben Simmons jump shot away from winning a championship. That's how good he is. He's that special. Just get a jump shot. He's that special. Just get a jump shot. Having said all of that, I want to preface my comments by saying, I know it doesn't sound like it sometimes because, I got to do my job and, be critical. Listen, I talk about the other sports. I'm a reporter and, I talk about the NBA. I don't know no damn golf. I just watch it as a fan. Okay? I don't know no damn golf. Contrary to what people might try to get you to believe, I know my football. Not the way football players and coaches and them know it, but as a reporter, yes, I know the game. Paid for, know the game. But I know my basketball. And I'm here to tell you something. This Brett Brown is a really good man. Comes from the right pedigree. Can coach. I'm rooting for him. One of the classiest individuals you'll ever meet in your life. And I'm really, really rooting for him. Let me tell you this. If the Philadelphia 76ers don't win this series, Brett Brown's going to lose his job. You heard it here first. Brett Brown will not be the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers next season if they lose in this first round to the Brooklyn Nets. Barring some kind of catastrophic injury that takes out Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, as long as they're on the court, I don't give a damn if he's not 100%. As long as they're on the court, if Brett Brown loses this series, he will lose his job. You can book it. It's not even anything to wonder about. 76ers didn't go out and get Jimmy Butler and then go out and get Tobias Harris and be universally recognized as a championship contender because of their starting five alone, only to get bounced out in the first round by the Brooklyn Nets. You lose to Boston, that's different. Still would have been bad. But Boston's got your number. And they got a crew, so we can understand. You lose to Milwaukee the way the Greek Freak is playing. That's understandable, particularly with Joel Embiid not being healthy. You lose to Toronto with Kawhi Leonard and Siakam and those boys. It's understandable. You cannot lose to the Brooklyn Nets if you are the Philadelphia 76ers and Brett Brown keeps his job. I'm telling you right now. I promise y'all this. Don't even wonder about it. Just get the epitaph prepared. Get the basketball eulogy ready. If the 76ers lose this series to the Brooklyn Nets, fair or unfair, Brett Brown's going to lose his job. Because you're going to look at the predictability. You're going to look at the lack of adjustments. You're not going to want to hear excuses about Joel Embiid not being 100%. You're not going to want to hear it. I'm telling you right now. I worked in Philadelphia for 17 years for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I got sources all over the 76ers organization. I talk to these people religiously. I mean, you talk about people, I'm trying to tell you, I know concession workers personally. I know all of these folks. I'm trying to tell you what I know. There is no way in hell Brett Brown is going to keep his job if the 76ers lose the series. I'm telling you what I know. And I hope Brett Brown is listening because I want you to know, sir, I'm rooting for you. I don't want you to lose your job. I want you to keep your job. You have to endure that damn process for the first 3 years of your coaching career in Philadelphia. You finally got a team the last couple of years. I'm rooting for you. But you got to win series like this. Kenny Atkinson is doing a hell of a job. Sean Marks is doing a hell of a job. And them brothers, Dinwiddie, LeVert, D'Angelo Russell, I mean, come on. I'm just looking at these guys right now. I just can't say enough. I've been talking about the Brooklyn Nets. They got cap space arguably for 2 max players this summer. I am a lifelong Knicks fan that will never change. But I got love for the Brooklyn Nets. I got love for, I'm a Queens native, y'all. Born in the Bronx, raised in Hollis, Queens since I was 1 year old. I got love for Brooklyn. I damn sure got more love for Brooklyn than I do for Manhattan. Brooklyn, stand up. Brooklyn, stand up. Make no mistake about it. And I'm ashamed I haven't been there all year. I'm going to one of these games, though. I'll be there. Barclays Center, buckle up. Here comes Stephen A. I ain't missing both of those games. I'll be there. But I'm telling you, these brothers can play. They got heart. They ain't scared. They got skills. They believe in one another. They play together. They're selfless. Kenny Atkinson's done a hell of a job. He's done a hell of a job. And Sean Marks, that Popovich tree, those cats that come from the Spurs. Listen, Popovich is so phenomenal to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm waiting for Becky Hammon to get a job. I mean, she'd probably be better than most of the men in the game. If Popovich's pedigree makes any sense. I mean, this is not a Bill Belichick issue. Where guys that coach for him go elsewhere and don't produce. No, that's not the case here with Popovich now. People that come from his tree handle their business. So I'm just letting you know. Sean Marks is doing a hell of a job in Brooklyn. I just can't say enough about the Brooklyn Nets. I really, really can't. But you ain't supposed to win this damn series. Not after the Sixers went and got Butler and Tobias Harris to add with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and J.J. Redick. And Boban has been balling too. I mean, there's just no excuse. You can't lose the series. Sixers play tonight. They better win. You go down 0-2 to the Brooklyn Nets Let me go Don Meredith on you. Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Yes, I said it. I can't sing, but damn it, I'm singing it. I'm telling you, Sixers got to win this game tonight. They got to win this game. I don't trust them to come back from an 0-2 deficit. I don't trust them. I can see them going to Brooklyn and stealing one and regaining home court advantage. I don't trust them to be down 0-2 and come back and win this series. Not against this Brooklyn Nets team. This has the makings of the Pelicans versus the Blazers last year written all over this. When the Blazers got swept. And speaking of the Blazers, let me say this. First of all, I want to thank Damian Lillard for sitting down with me last week when I did my Sports Center special that almost none of y'all knew about was coming. But I'm doing it every game during the NBA Finals. I will be doing a Sports Center special from 7 to 8 p.m. that every game night of the NBA Finals, I'll be hosting a special Sports Center edition on the NBA Finals. Let me say this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to say something that's going to knock your socks off. John, are you looking at me? This is important. I don't want you to fall out your chair. We all know that I believe Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. I think that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson is the best shooting backcourt in the history of backcourt, in the history of basketball. I believe that Klay Thompson is one of the top 5 shooters of all time. The lack of respect that he gets is basketball criminality. Klay Thompson is that great of a shooter. So much so that the Warriors know it and their priority is keeping him and Steph together more than it is keeping Kevin Durant. Even though if Kevin Durant wants to stay, he could. They'll find the money to pay him. Because he's Kevin Durant. Who, by the way, should not have foolishly got ejected from the game on Saturday, even though I don't think that was a foul. That was a tech that should have been called against them. I do understand. Let me say this. Kevin Durant can't find himself getting teed up twice, getting ejected from a game when all you need is 6 before a 7th one will get you suspended for a game. See Draymond Green a few years back when they lost the title to Cleveland because Draymond Green got suspended for game 5 when they were up 3-1. Because they'd have closed the Cavs out, and LeBron never would have won a championship in Cleveland if Draymond Green hadn't got suspended for that game. That's right, I said it. Not to talk about LeBron because he's not in the playoffs, so I want to give him a reprieve until October. But I will tell you this. I say all of that about Steph to say this, John, JC. But y'all listen to me. Steph Curry's the greatest shooter that I've ever seen. He's a superstar. And in terms of point guards, because of what he brings to the table and the fear factor he instills in you because of his lethal marksmanship, he's the number 1 guard I would pick. No question. But John, JC, let me be very clear. Damian Lillard deserves to be first team this year. First team All-NBA. Did y'all know that Damian Lillard has only missed 4% of his games his entire career? This is his 7th season. He's missed 24 games. Did y'all know that? He's missed 24 games in 7 years. Did you know that? Did you know that Damian Lillard is averaging 26-7 this year? Did you know that the Blazers have won over 50 games? Who's Damian Lillard playing with? So he's got Nurkic, who's now out for the year, and he's got CJ McCollum. And, you know, I mean, who else does he have? What am I missing, guys? Can somebody help me out? Can somebody help me understand? This Damian Lillard that we're talking about here. Al-Farouq Aminu, Maurice Harkless, who stupidly went for a steal and ended up giving up a 3 late in the game that he didn't have to. Steph's got KD. He's got Klay. Hell, now he's got DeMarcus Cousins. I got news for you. Damian Lillard, I'm not talking about he's better than Steph Curry, not because there's only one Steph Curry. But I'm just saying, based on this year's production, Damian Lillard deserves all first team NBA. He actually does. I mean, when I went to interview him, A couple of cats for the Blazers was making that argument. I got to admit to you, I was relatively speechless. I couldn't deny it. Because you know me, I was willing to tell Dame to his face, got nothing but love for you, bro, but I can't put you ahead of Steph. And they were like this, wait a minute now. You can make an argument all day, every day about who's better, and I get that part. But in terms of the season each has had, when you look at the personnel that Damian Lillard has had to play with, and the personnel that Steph Curry has had to play with, and you see the season that the Blazers have had, how is Damian Lillard not all NBA first team? And I said, you know what? Damn. I actually don't have a comeback for that. That's a damn good point. Damian Lillard, all NBA first team, in line for a Supermax deal, which, by the way, he ain't interested in leaving Portland. It's going to be real interesting. I had to give Damian Lillard some love. Russell Westbrook, I love Russell Westbrook. But could you please stop with the nonsense during the interviews? They're not asking you about your personal life. These reporters are asking Russell Westbrook purely basketball questions. What's the problem? They're asking about a run in the game. You play the game of basketball. It's in your contract to do post-game interviews. Next question, next question, next question. The hell with it. Don't call him Russell Westbrook anymore. Call him Russell Rosenhaus. Take it back from Drew Rosenhaus years ago with T.O. Next question, next question, next question. What's the problem? What is the problem? It's basketball. These are the reasons why people fear folks getting exorbitant amount of dollars, because they fear how acerbic and cantankerous you may get once you know money is not a concern that you have anymore. But a true professional shows up and answers those questions about basketball anytime you ask. The greatest ever, Michael Jordan, did it. The greatest today, LeBron James does it. Kobe did it, and others. You asked a basketball question. They gave you a basketball answer, Russ. I don't give a damn about how acerbic Russell Westbrook can be. I happen to believe he's a very good guy, just highly competitive. And I personally love him because I love his realness. But come on, bro. It's basketball questions. That's all. They just ask you basketball questions. You better than that. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, share the beauty of the spring season with 1-800-Flowers exclusive 30 for 30 offer. 30 assorted tulips for just $30. To order 30 stunning assorted tulips for only $30, go to 1-800-Flowers.com.